Next, we're going to start our next topic, work center in SAP production planning. So the topics that we're going to cover today, they are structure and purpose of the work center, purpose of the standard value key and standard values, purpose of defaults in work center, capacities and their maintenance, reference work center, use reference and pooled capacities, work center and costing integration. So let us start with a business example. As the project lead for implementing manufacturing resources, you must be aware of the structural design of the work center object in SAP. You need to learn how the task list and work center are structured to integrate with several business areas in your company. Your company has requirements to use task list and work centers for costing, engineering, and production. So first we'll start with modeling manufacturing. So when I say modeling manufacturing, so basically it means that during the modeling part, we can divide all the data in SAP production planning into 5 different parts. So here you can see that material master that we already covered earlier. And then we have also seen what is bill of materials. Today we're going to cover work center, and later on we'll be creating routing, and in the routing I will show you that how the routing will be using all the master data that we created earlier. So that means in the routing we'll be using material master, we'll be using BOM, we'll be using work center. So we'll discuss routing later on, and also we'll discuss about the production resources later on. So let us continue with work center. So what is work center? Now work center means any machinery, any machine in your company, or it can have different definition. Now in simple words it can be a machine, but it could have different definition that I will talk in a minute. But for now, here you can see we got probably an automatic machine here, or maybe a robot or something. So that's also a work center. On the right hand side you can see a manual milling machine. That's also a work center. A work center can also be a group of people working in some area of the production. And work center can also be a table where some manufacturing process is performed. So these all are the examples of work center. Now let us see some theory about work center. A work center is a location that defines where production activities take place according to order requirements. Work centers are also called machine centers or capacity centers. Work centers can be defined as individual or multiple machines, people, tools, and so on. Work centers are used in routings and production orders. And work centers can also be used to collect capacity for statistical evaluations. Now the work center that we use in SAP, that can be integrated with different parts. For example, the work center that you have in the middle, that can be integrated with scheduling. So where we can schedule like what are the working hours and all that we'll see in a minute. It can also be integrated with the capacity planning. That means where we can plan our capacity, which we again will see later, and it will be used in the routing, which we'll see in the next lecture. And it is all the work centers are integrated with the cost center that we'll also see in today's class. So work centers are used in routing, that I already discussed that it will be used in routing. So what is routing? Routing describes a production cycle. So if we need to manufacture a component, say a laptop, so we need to define in the routing that from what work centers or what machines or what processes this laptop will be passing through. For example, number one process will be on this work center, number two process will be on that work center, and so on. So again, we'll discuss more about the routings in the next lecture. Now we'll start with the work center, how we can create the work center in SAP. So as I said earlier, that work center, we can also define the work center as a hierarchy. We can have the cost center for the work center, where finance people will be using it for the cost purpose. We can have the scheduling, default values, and all that. We can define the capacity that we're going to see now in today's lecture. So in SAP, the work center data is divided into 5 different areas. So the first area is the general data, where you can maintain the name and description, standard value key. Then you have the default values for routing. Here we can maintain the default values that should be used, like control key, wage data, and all that. Then we have the capacity data. So capacity data will be used in the formula key and available capacity. And the fourth one is scheduling data, which we'll see again how we can enter the queue time, move time, and scheduling and all that. And the fifth area is the costing data, where we can define, we can assign a work center to the, we can assign a cost center to the work center. So let us start with SAP, how we can create this work center in SAP. Now, the transaction code to create a work center is CR01. Let me write down here. So when you create a work center, to create the code is CR01. You can use straight away, or to change the code is CR02. So here I show you the menu path as well. You can go to logistics, production, master data, work center, again work center, CR01. So I can double click on CR01, or I can type here CR01 and press enter. So here I'm going to show you how you can create a work center. So here I'm going to create one work center, and you can call it, maybe work center can be assembly line, can be a robot, can be anything. For example, if you want to see the existing work center, you can click on this search button here, and it will give you the list of all the work center that we have. So in plant 1000, you want to see what are the work center we have. Let's search for it. So you can see there are so many work center, like universal lathe, like a lathe machine, a drilling press, a balancing machine, annealing furnace, quality inspection, drilling machine. So it can be any type of machine in the production that you can have. So here I will be calling it, you can give your own name when you define, but for now I will be calling it work center -gs. So I will use my initial here, or you can call it whatever you like, but just keep it separate from others to use your initial as well. And before you create a work center, you need to give it a work center category. So here you need to select one category first. So here, what type of work center you're creating, like it's a machine, it's a labor, or you want to use it in the PM module. So let us call it a machine. I'm creating a machine. Maybe instead of machine, I think better, let me take the example of labor. You can create it as a machine or labor, but let me use a labor. Labor means like a group of labor that you can create as well. And I will press enter. So here you can give some proper description where the cursor is at the moment. So here I can give it a proper description. For example, I can call it milling machine. If you heard of a machine called milling machine, or you can call whatever you want. So I can put my initial here, GS. And here I will show you all the important fields here. So like here you can enter who is the person responsible for this machine. So there's so many entries here. Again, you can create any entry in the customizing, and we'll talk about the customizing later on in a separate topic for the work center. But for now, just pick some value from here. Location, you can enter a location, which is another important field, like a location, physical location of the um, machine. So I can say in the production area, press enter. If there's any mandatory field, it will ask you. And here in the usage, for example, I can say what is a usage. So usage, where you want to use it. So for example, you want to use in the rate plan, production rate planning only, in the network only, or all task list type. So just select 009, which is all task list type. We'll talk about the task list type in the routing chapter later on. So task list type we want to use, press enter. And scroll down, and here one of the important field is a standard value key. What is a standard value key? Again, if you open it, you will see a lot of different options to pick. So like I can pick SAP 1, SAP 2. Like if I pick SAP 1, let's see what happens, and press enter. So here that means when you select this standard value key, you will have option to enter the values like what is the setup time, what is the machine time, what is the labor time. This is what this slide is showing you here, that in the standard value key you can enter any value, like you can customize any standard key as well, but this option will tell you that if you can, what sort of value you can enter, like if you can enter setup time, machine time, or something else. For example, if I select a different standard value key, let's pick a different value key, and you will notice the change. If I select say number 3, rate based planning, and if I press enter after selecting, you need to make sure you press enter to see the change. You can see is the description is different now. It's saying tear down time, setup time, production time. If I select the third one, variable production, so you can see I have those first 3 options, but again I have the standard value key 1, 2, 3. So depending on the business, we can customize these standard value key. So later on we'll see in the customizing how we can do it. But for now I will be using the standard one, which is SAP 1. So here this will allow us to enter the setup time, machine time, labor time, and these time will be used in the routing as well later on. Also you can define here that whether you want to make any field as mandatory or optional. Okay, for example here you can say that should be entered. That means this value should be entered in the processing, but it's not mandatory. That means system will give you a warning only that it should be done, but it's not a mandatory. Here when you say machine, I can say machine time must be entered. Must be means this is a mandatory field. That means if you do not enter this value, you will get an error. So here I can press enter. If I press enter, that's it. And here if you want, you can assign a key. For example, key means like machine. If I open the key here, you can say that machine time is 90% performance efficiency rate. So again, if I press F1 here, it will tell you more detail for the key performance. So with this key, you can set the performance efficiency rate based on the time. If you have not maintained the performance efficiency rate, the system use the performance efficiency rate as 100%. So what if I click on this performance efficiency rate, so here you can see the more details about this one. So basically if you want to say that the performance rate is not 100%, it's 95%, like in the real-time scenario there can be some breakdown or something and it's not always 100%, so you can say this is 90% if you want, or you can leave it. That means system will consider as 100%. So that's the basic data type. So as I said earlier, data is divided into 5 different parts. Here you can see those 5 different parts. So here you can see the basic data, default values, capacity, scheduling, and costing. So we'll be going through all this data. So first we have completed the basic data. Next we have is default values for the work center. So that means we can enter some default values in the work center, and those values will be defaulted in the routing later on. So let me show you. If I jump to the default value tab here, the second tab, here I can maintain some like any value here, and that will be defaulted to the routing later on. For example, control key. What is control key we'll see later on, or if you can press F1 here to see the details about the control key here. But for now, just use any control key between PP1 and PP95. If I open that, the search button, so here these are the control key. As I said, we'll discuss about it later on. But for now, if I scroll down and just start with PP1, so here you can see PP1, PP2, PP3. So pick anything starting with PP1. So I will pick, say, PP1 in our production. PP1. So that means this control key will be used for this work center when you will use in this one in the routing. That means every data that you create in the work center, that will be going to the routing. So when we'll create the routing in the next topic, you will see the work center that we use in the routing, it will pick the data from the work center. So that means in the routing, you can have the default values here. So here you can see I can have this default value. If I do not enter anything here, that means nothing will be defaulted to the routing. So to propose something as default to the routing, we can maintain something here. And if you check this box next to this one, that means if I press F1 here, it will tell you that means this default value cannot be changed in the routing. So if you check this box only, then only it will be in the display mode only, cannot be changed in the routing. If I do not check here, that means this will be the default value in the routing proposed, but anyone can change it in the routing. Again, we'll see later on. Just pick some here. You can also pick some standard text key. For example, if I open that, here we have some standard text like assembly text, inspection text, any standard text. So text can be something like instruction for the production guys that we can enter here. And again, we can customize this standard text key that we'll see later on. But for now, any text that we can enter here. And these texts will be also be copied to the routing. And from the routing, it will be further copied to the production order printout. When we create the production order, in the printout of the production order, people can see those text, which is coming basically from here. So that's optional. You can enter as text type as well. Optional, if you want, you can enter the wage type. What is wage type? Wage type here. So I can pick some wage type here, like this one. If I press F1 on that field, so key which specifies a wage type. For example, piecework wage or premium wage. So the wage type is used as a criteria for calculating the wage or salary of an employee. So that's another option for the HR people to use it. So that's all for default value. So any default value that you enter here, it will be proposed to the routing. If you do not enter anything here, nothing will be proposed to the routing. That's your default values. Then we have standard text key. I already explained that we can have a standard text, and those standard text can be frequently recurring description for a production cycle. So that will be going from the work center to the printout of the production order. So those texts will be printed in the production order if you want. Next, we'll talk about the capacity that you can maintain in the work center. So if I jump to the capacity here, capacity tab. So here we can enter the capacity. So let me show you how you can maintain the capacity. For example, I can maintain the capacity here. Suppose I'm creating a machine, then you can create a capacity for the machine. If you're creating a labor, you can use the labor one. But let me pick the machine one for now, for some reason. I will show the labor one later on again. So if I suppose I'm creating a machine, like a a machine work center. Then I can select machine here, press enter, and then here you can also select the setup formula. If I press F1 on the setup formula, so formula used to determine the capacity requirement of setup. That means when a product will be going to manufacture on this machine, what will be the setup time? Obviously, if I'm manufacturing product A on this machine, on this work center, and when we'll change the setting to the product B manufacturing, then obviously there will be some setup time to change the setting of the machine or the work center. So how the formula will be calculated? So here there are some settings, there are some key, the setup formula key that you can pick from here. Again, we can customize it, that we'll see later on. So for now, I will be picking, say, um, pick anything, doesn't matter, say machine time, for example. Same way, processing formula. What is a processing formula during capacity? Again, we'll see about this one later on. You can enter here, press enter, and there's a warning here. Just press enter again to ignore the warning. Then you can, if I scroll down, you can click on this capacity header, and where we can maintain the capacity. For example, if I click on this capacity header, it will take you to this screen. Here I can enter some description of the capacity category. For example, I can say capacity for milling machine, for example. So in the capacity category, basically what we're doing is you can enter the, like, what is the start time of the work center and what is the finish time. For example, every factory has some shift timing. If I talk about the, or you can say working hours, you can say working hours. Now I'm talking about the working hours for the work center only. So a work center can be operating, maybe you can say 24 hours a day. That means 3 shifts: morning shift, evening shift, and night shift. So 6 to 2, 2 to 10, or in the night 10 to 6 in the morning. Or it can be only working, say, probably 8 hours, 8 hours per day. That means its working hours are maybe 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Or this is the case of 8 hours working, and this is the case for 24 hours working. So here I will say from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. Like this is 12 hours, 24 hours cycle. So we need to tell the system that what are the working hours of this work center, so that when system will be doing the scheduling, system will know that this work center only works for these many hours. So it will load the work center with those production order accordingly. So system will be doing the scheduling and will do the capacity planning, that okay, we can only, this production order will take these, say, 8 hours. So we can use this production order on this machine for the manufacturing purpose only for 8 hours if the machine is working for 8 hours per day. So if it's working for 24 hours per day, then we can use the similar production order 3 times, like 3 production orders can be used on the same work center for single day. So we'll discuss more about this one later on in the capacity planning. Here you just need the basic understanding only. So here you can say, I can enter that, say, for example, you can say the basic unit of measure is hourly measuring, and here I can say the machine is starting at 9 a.m. or finishing at whatever time. So 9 to 5 if you want to say, so that's 9 to 5, that's a 8-hour working, and press enter. And here you can in this part, here you can also enter the break, like if the factory is working like 8 hours in this work center is working, or the people working on this work center for 8 hours, or I can say 8.5 hours. Let's see, let's say it's working from 9 to 5:30. If I say 9 to 5:30, here I can change to 5:30 as well, press enter, and then you can enter the break length, like during the 8.5 hour shift there is a break for, say, 30 minutes. So I can change it to 30 minutes. So 30-minute break. So from the 8.5 hour working, if there's a 30-minute break, system will calculate that operating hours are 8 hours only, because 30 minutes is the break time. And here you can see 8 hours of the working time of this work center. Now in the capacity utilization is saying 100 as default. That means the capacity utilization will be 100%, but in real time this may not be the case. For example, I can say 90%, or I can say 95% of this working of the capacity utilization. If I press enter, you can notice that this is saying I'm 7.6 hours actual working time. It was 8 hours before. After entering 95% capacity utilization, 7.6 is the real one. So what capacity utilization means is, in real time a machine can have some unexpected breakdowns. So those breakdowns, that's why we're saying that 100% cannot be the capacity. We can say so 95% of the capacity, and 5% can be some sort of breakdown or some unexpected things happening which is not a part of the machine is running. So we can say that capacity utilization can be 95%. So not 8 hours machine is working. So in actual 7.6 hours is working on an average. So that's how system will calculate it. If I change it to say 90%, press enter, you can see this will also change to 7.2. So 7.2 hours will be the real working hours of this work center. And check this box here, relevant for finite scheduling, if you want to use this work center for the scheduling purpose as well. I will discuss about the other one later on. So that's your capacity. So once you are done, go back. You can go back. It will come to this screen again. If you want to go to that screen again, you can double click on this line which I have just selected here. Double click on that to go there, and you will come here. Next, I will show you, yes, central shift sequence. If you want to, like I have entered a generic working hours of a production center. That means that if I want to enter some different timing for say next 1 week or next 6 months or some specific days, how we can change the start time and finish time. For example, so this is the generic working hours 9 to 5:30. If you go to the interval and shift on the top, if I click on interval and shift, here I can enter some interval. So this is the interval. Valid from date means blank. That means starting from the past and valid up to 99999 that year. That means for the permanent, all the working days in the future up to this year, I have this working hours. What if I want to change this? For example, I can say next 1 week this machine will be running 24 hours only for next 1 week, or for next 1 month this machine will be running 24 hours, but after that it will be back to normal. Or I can say starting from the first of the following month it will be running 24 hours for a couple of days. So whatever you want to enter here, like that, in that scenario you can click on this interval button on the top, plus interval, click on that, and here I can enter some date. For example, I can say first of next month. For example, if I pick first of next month, for example, enter a date. So starting from that date up to say 30 days or whatever days you can enter here. So I can enter some days here, press enter. So for that specific time, there's a warning here at the bottom, just ignore the warning, press enter. It will pop up this screen for you that starting from this date up to this date, what will be the working hours. So here I can have a specific working hours. I can say starting from 00 and up to 24 00. That means 24 hours. So here I can say 30-minute break. I can say during this 24 hours working, there will be 3 breaks of 30 minutes each. I can say total will be 1 hour 30-minute break. Press enter. And if the 90% is the capacity, the total working hours will be 20.25. So same thing I can copy and paste to all the days. And if it is not working on a say weekend, then you can also change the setup. Let me show you. So let me copy and paste here first. So Monday to Friday, same timing will be there for say 24 hours. Press enter. However, on the weekend, so here you can say these are the actual hours. And on the weekends, if you do not want to work, then you can just remove the entries from here. Or if you're working say for a couple of hours, you can enter those hours here. So I can even enter some hours here, or you can make it 000. That means no working hours. So if I enter 000, that means on weekends we're not working, we're only working Monday to Friday. So here you can see actual working hours will be 000. So system will know that when system will be doing the capacity planning, which we'll see later on, system will know that I can only use this work center on from Monday to Friday. And so system will be planning the production orders on Monday to Friday only, but it will not plan on the weekends because weekends this work center is not working. So that's why we need to define it here, and that will be using the production planning later on. So like I have entered one interval here, and if you want to enter one more interval, you can click on this interval. For example, you want to enter one more interval for the Christmas timing. That means during the Christmas time, the work center will be not working 7 days a week, but only for a few days it will be working. So that's how you can enter some intervals, and you can go back here. I can save it first. So the work center is saved actually, and if you want to go back to the work center, you can go to CR02 transaction, CR02, and that's the one I just created, WCGS. So let me copy that, the work center that I created here, and I can press enter, go to capacity, double click on here, and here that's the generic what it's showing you. But if I go to the interval and shift, you can see the setup that I had just done. So again, you can go back here and it will take you to this screen, and again you can go back and you are here. So that's the shift timing that you can have, and then we can go to the scheduling. In the scheduling, you can also enter some values from here, like capacity category. What is the capacity category? For the scheduling purpose, I can say machine. And again, we have the, for scheduling, we can also have the setup formula. Again, we'll, as I said, we'll discuss about the customizing of all this later on. So just pick any value for now here, enter, or you can leave this one blank if you want for the scheduling purpose. The last tab is the costing one. If I jump to the costing tab, press enter. If there is any warning will be the yellow mark at the bottom, you can see right now, which we can ignore by pressing enter. Here we need to assign it a cost center. So what is cost center? Cost center is a financial object, and the purpose is where we want to assign the cost for this work center for the finance perspective. If I press F1 here, you can see the definition of the work center, that key uniquely identifying the work center. If I click on work center, so an organizational unit within a controlling area that represents a defined location of cost incurrence. So here you can see more details about this one. So that means from finance perspective, they need to know that where the cost is assigned. So here, if I go to the search screen, you can, if I press enter, you will see that there's a lot of work center. So just pick anything for now, which should not be causing error. So basically the finance people will be giving us the cost center in the real-time scenario. So they will tell us use this work center. So you can see we maintain all the 5 datas for the work center. So that's how you can create the work center, and I can save it. So the work center is ready, and that work center we can use for the routing later on. There's some other functionality that I will talk here again for the work center. Basically, pooled capacity. What is pooled capacity? Pooled capacity means that, for example, I say in a factory scenario, you have say 5 automatic machines, and each machine require one operator to run. And they are fully automatic machine like a robot machine or something, and they each require one operator to learn to run. However, one operator is not always needs to be presented over there. So in that case, what we can do is like, if we have 4 operator, 4 labor, 4 person, they can operate 5 machine. You know what I mean? So that means one person doesn't always need to present on that machine because that's automatic machine. So that person can run to the jump to the other machine if we need. So that means 4 people can run 5 machine. This is known as pooled capacity. So let's see some theory about this one. A pooled capacity is used to model manufacturing resources that will be shared by many work centers. That means a pooled capacity that we can create, it can be used by many work center, more than one work center. For example, you have 5 production lines that each require an operator for the entire duration that machine runs. As I said, for the 5 production lines you have, and all of them, each of them require one person to run it. However, you only have 4 operators in your resource pool, therefore only 4 machines can run at any one time. So that means we do not want to run 4 machines, we want to use 4 people to run 5 machines. So let me show you how you can create the pool capacity. So to create and assign the pool capacity, here you can go to capacity CR11. If I open CR11, so here I can create one capacity, give it some names. I will call it pool GS. I'm creating a pool capacity. I'll copy the name here. Pool capacity. That is the name I'm using. And in the capacity category, because I'm creating it for a labor, select 002 as labor. Press enter. So it will show you some default values here. You can also enter your start timing, work, finish timing, all that, whatever, and that will be defaulted to the these values that you enter here. That will be defaulted to the your work center. And the point to be noted here is number of individual capacity. I can enter here 5. So whatever people, sorry, 4 people that we want to use, 4 people will be using this, will be using 4 people as a pooled capacity. And now those 4 people we can use in 5 machine or more than 5 machine if you want. So 4 people will be running 5 machines or 6 machine, whatever. Make sure this one is ticked, can be used by several operations. That means this pool capacity can be used by several operations. So once you're done, save it. So I created this pooled capacity. And if you want to assign this pooled capacity to all the work center that will be sharing, you can do it like this. Go back to the work center that I just created, CR02. That's a work center I created. Go into this one. Go to capacity. And one capacity I created for the machine. And if you scroll down, you can click on this create button, and I will assign one more capacity for the pooled capacity. Click on create button. Here capacity category will be labor 002, and in the pooled capacity here I will be assigning the one I just created, pool GS. Or you can search here. If I search here pooled capacity, or you can straight away type. So I can say pool, I can say star. Star means give me everything starting with pool. Not here, that's a description. Here I need to write down pool star. Enter. Maybe they all seems to be different. Same field. Let me try this one. Okay, let me remove it. Let me search for everything. So showing 113. There should be one that I just created. Let me type it straight away. I don't know why it's not showing. Let me type here. Okay. Okay. You can see the message here. Let me go back to the pooled capacity. It's not a pooled capacity. You need to. I think I did a mistake. Let me go back into this one. Here you can also enter some description like pooled capacity GS. Okay, let me check something else. Go to capacity, or try to create it again. Go to create button. Selected the wrong one. Delete it. Create. Let me start again. Okay, so I selected a wrong category earlier. That's what's happening. So let me fix it. Let me select this entry. What I will do, I will create a new one again. One thing I forgot was, if I go back to CR02, CR12, and to the full capacity, if I go into this one, I forgot to check this box. So unless you need to check this box first, otherwise you will get errors when you try to use it. So make sure this is checked for the full capacity and save it. Now if I go back to the work center that I created just now, go to capacity. Here scroll down, click on the create button, and here I'll be assigning the pool capacity that I just created. So select the labor one, 002 labor capacity, and here I will enter the pool capacity that I just created. So select that, press enter, and that's it. So this pool capacity will be shared by this work center, and I can assign it to the other work center as well. So all those will be sharing this pool capacity. So I can save it. So that's how you can save it. And next we're going to see reference capacity. As the name is saying reference capacity, that means suppose in my company we're using maybe a lot of work centers, different work centers, and they all using the same working hours. And every month or every week or every new season, we keep changing the working hours. So that means probably, next month we may be, depending on the load or the orders that we have or the requirements we have, we may be working maybe 3 shifts or 2 shifts or 1 shift. So that means every time there's a change in the company, change in the working hours due to XYZ reasons, we need to go back into each of the work center and make the changes, which is a lot of time consuming task. So to avoid this um, time consuming function, what we can do is we can create a reference capacity. That means we can create one reference and we can assign them to all the work center. That means whatever timing we have maintained in the reference, that will be copied to all the work centers. So if we need to make any change here for the say next week shift, we can just change the reference one, and that will change all the work center automatically wherever it is assigned. So let's see how we can do it. So to create the reference one, what we can do is say go to this capacity again, CR11. Here I will call it, so make sure the capacity category is select machine for now. The only thing we need to make sure is this is not a pooled one. Here I will give a new description. I will call it reference. Reference GS. So I'm creating a reference one. I'll copy it here. Capacity. That's the name. Press enter. And here I can give some proper description. Reference capacity GS. And here you can maintain whatever working hour you want to maintain. So here I can say, for example, I can say starting at 7 o'clock, finishing at probably 5:30. And here I can say the capacity utilization is say 92%, for example, percent, and we'll calculate the real working hours. And again, you can go to the interval and shift, and you can add any interval if you want. And so let's leave it like that. Or probably this is the standard shift we're using in our company all the time, so that I can assign the shift to all the work center. So if I'll save it, you can say I have saved it. I can go back to my work center now that I created earlier, this work center, press enter, and here I can go to capacity and double click on this first one, capacity category, and then click on the reference available capacity. So that means at the moment you can see this is using starting at 9, finishing at 5:30, 30-minute break, 7.2 is the real working hour. So if I go to the reference available capacity, I can assign it to the reference that I just created. So I can select, I can search for it. Say if I search for everything, oh, there's so many, but I can type it manually. So I can copy that. You can search for description as well and press enter. Now you can notice as soon as I press enter, system copied the setting from the reference one. Now you can see it was starting at 9 earlier, but now it's starting at 7. This one 90 earlier, this is now 92 because copied from the reference one, and also the capacity is changed accordingly. So that's how I can create a reference one and I can save it. So next time, so suppose I created a reference one and I assigned it to more than one work center. So next time, whenever there's a change in the timing, all I need to just change this one instead of changing all the individual work center. So next time what I will do, whenever there's a change, I'll go into the reference one, and here I can say I can add an interval, and whatever interval I enter here, or maybe here I can say next time it will be starting from 8. You can save it, and it will save all other work centers. Double click on the work center. Here you can see now starting a date because it's copying everything from the reference. So that is a use of the reference capacity. So that's it for work center. So also for the integration, as I've shown you that work center integration with the costing. So as I just shown you that in the costing tab, you need to assign it a work center, and that's a mandatory field. So every work center has to be assigned to a cost center for the finance perspective. The point to be noted here is you can assign one work center to one you can assign one cost center to one work center. However, the same cost center can be assigned to many work centers. I repeat again, one work center can only have one cost center. However, the same cost center can be assigned to more than one work center. So that's all you need to know about the integration here. And that's it. So we'll just go through a recap what we have learned today. So we have seen purpose and function of the work center, standard value key and standard values, and the default values in the work center where we use it, how to maintain the capacity, reference work center, what is the use of the reference work center, and also the pooled capacities, and the work center and the costing integration. So for the assignment purpose, I want you to do this assignment first before you go ahead. So create one reference capacity and also one reference pooled capacity, and then create a new work center and assign the reference capacity and the pooled capacity to the new work center that you're just creating, and save your work center. And question is, how can you add a shift interval for the next week? So just try this assignment on the server. And that's all for today, and thank you very much to watch this lecture. I will catch you in the next lecture.